What?
Yeah,
Oh,
so he will doodle
okay. He wants me to read this.
the stuff.
Welcome to the All American Otaku Show. Is that right? Okay, don't kill me. Thank you. Bye.
That's so good.
All American Otaku, join the ride. Jumping in where the stories collide. From the screen to the song, this is where we belong. All American Otaku, let's come alive. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the All American Otaku Show, Otaku News. Today, there's several things that happen. Is first off, we're going to talk about there's going to be a Death Note musical coming out in England. This seems like a really weird idea, an absurd idea. The Death Note's darker undertones, the idea of what makes morality and what makes a hero, and the fall of grace as such heroes were given almost absolute power. This anime is Death Note is really dark and gothic and gritty, and then you added the idea of a musical number seems kind of silly and obscure, but it might be good for either the campiness or good for somehow they made it connect and made it work very well. I don't know yet, but it seems like it's going to be an interesting concept of Death Note the musical. The next bit of news is sad news today. Deviot Chase died on Tuesday. He not when this video comes out, but when I'm filming it, which is the week before the 27th, I'm filming this episode to make sure that I have two episodes from when I'm traveling down south to California. Well, back to the sad news is she died on Tuesday of me filming. According to her boyfriend Roy Hernandez, she she died to meningitis and a blood infection, which caused septic issues. Which is sad because she was only 36 years old and she was notable for playing Samara from The Ring, also known in the Japanese universe as Ringu, a horror movie that takes place in the US in Washington area. The other place takes place in, of course, Japan. The idea she was trapped in the whale comes out in the TV, and once you watch the video, they say you'll die in 7 days. She was also the voice actress of. She was Chirichiro, which was the female little girl who had main character of the anime Spirited Away Studio Ghibli, so we lost a good voice actress in there. She was also Lilo from Lilo and Stitch from the film from 2002. And she was a voice actor of several other films and what have you. She will be missed. And for that, I will give a moment of silence for this voice actress and how she passed away. All right. The next bit of news is a little bit more happier. Is there's been a poll for a clear cut winner and a clear cut loser for our anime poll of anime characters that are not human, mainly main characters. And this goes for the anime and manga. We had several choices such as the Red Blood Cell, Romaru, the Skeletonite, and the Spider were the choices in the poll. There was a clear winner, and then there was a clear loser in that thing. Even though the loser it was tied for last place, and the winner only was up for maybe one or two votes compared to the one that's right below it. This poll that we had out for a month, and every month we do a new poll for what's going to be our big subject every month. Now on with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the All American Otaku Show. This episode is about characters that are not human in anime and manga. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is I found one of the most ridiculous ideas, but sometimes how it works for some people is the time I was reincarnated as a vending machine. Main character was an otaku in our natural world who had a fascination of vending machines, mainly Japanese vending machines, where there's in Japan there's vending machines everywhere, such as vending machine pizza, vending machine hotel rooms, vending machine this, vending machine that. If you could think of it, they probably have a vending machine of it. This anime borders on to the idea of ridiculousness and as well as the idea of a vending machine going into a fantasy world where people put coins in, and more coins and credits it gets, more powerful it gets, such as create barriers, talking, being able to walk or move, or using telekinesis or what have you. There was ended up being a girl in this fantasy world who has the ability of super strength, picks him up and puts him on her back. Even though the vending machine character could only say pre-recorded scenes from this vending machine, like "thank you very much," "hello," and so forth. In this anime, the idea that is a vending machine in a fantasy realm seems to me a ridiculous thing, but even though it may be well liked, this goes into the idea of, to me, the absurd and the idea of what isekai has become. It's like, okay, we can't think of anything what they're to reincarnate it as. So let's pick something random, and the person probably seeing a vending machine outside says, "Let's have them reincarnated as that." The second character I'm going to talk about that is not human in anime is none other than Freerin. This anime is where it mentions the idea of loss and the idea of pains of immortality. Freerin, who is a high elf and a wizard, trained to the arts of a magic, surprisingly, by a human. And as a elf, she is considered immortal, where she lives thousands and thousands of years. It goes into the idea of Hamel, one of the party members she teams up with to go against the Demon King, and she eventually finds out he loses him to old age, and loses all the other members of the party to various ages and very old. The idea of becoming immortal, that you have to watch your friends pass away, the sorrows of going through that. And the last one she calls the delinquent priest, decides to have her train someone named Fern, a human. She was reluctant because she doesn't want to get close to someone, and then yet to deal with the pain of losing them, being a immortal elf. This anime really picks up on the idea of the travel, the journey, and what happens after you defeated the big bad, and what happens during the journey you're on today. The third thing I'm going to talk to you about of a character that is not human is none other than Goku. Goku may look human to a point, except for having a monkey tail, and he has the ability to turn into a giant monkey. Every time the moon goes full, he turns into a giant monkey. They get rid of the problem by destroying the moon and so forth. Goku is what we call a Saiyan, or an alien race, who takes over planets and then sells them off to alien high lords and stuff, to the highest bidder, to them terraform and become the planet themselves. Saiyans shows the humor of Akira Toriyama by calling name them after vegetables, and their original home planet was called Planet Salada. So you have characters like Kakarot or Goku, Vegeta, who has a brother named Tabol, so it's vegetable. You have cabbage and kale and so forth, all these different plants and various vegetable type names. You have also a group of Namekians, such as Piccolo, and later in Dragon Ball you have Tambourine and so forth. This is clearly fits the criteria of a character that is not human, because Goku, being the main character, is in fact alien, even though he was raised by humans. His original idea was, okay, I'm raised by humans, and his original plan to put it in there was he's going to take over this planet for the Saiyan race as a baby. But when he fell and hit his head over a cliff, he wiped out and became pretty much a good guy, becoming wanting to defend Earth instead of the conqueror of Earth. This anime goes into the silliness of obscure, like Goku at the very beginning is wondering where Bulma's balls are. Bulma's a female character, of course, and females don't have balls, or why she can't pee standing up, and various other humors there, and it evolved into more of a humorous martial arts anime where they defeat characters like Frieza, Boo, Cell, and what have you, and characters that were major in there like Yamcha become very minor characters in the time of Z. Z really builds up, and the characters of Goku, who's fights these interdimensional and universal killing things, but is scared of needles and his wife Chi Chi. Very interesting anime, and the main character is in fact not human. And finally, we go into the choices that we had in the poll. The first one and the last place one there, even though it was tied, I chose this one. This is other than Arch, the Skeleton Knight. This anime starts off very brutal, where the Skeleton Knight fights off bandits who are trying to force themselves on these two women, a noble and her maid, comes there, chops off their heads, and he finds the idea of the dark side of this medieval thing where people were having elves as slaves and slavers conquering things. So he tries to end the slave market by defeating the evil, and you find out the evil who's made there is the church. This leads into various other, okay, this person's not human, this person's this and person that, not judging a book by the cover. Just because something seems he looks evil and undead does not necessarily mean they're evil undead. This anime goes into the more harsher things, such as what bandits will do, or the idea of the slave market, or the idea of what we would do if we conquered a race or something. This parallels what American culture is there, what they did to the African Americans by enslaving them and so forth, and the revolts and revolutions that came above because of this fact. The third anime I'm going to talk to you about is none other than, and sorry, the second one I'm going to talk to you about is none other than I'm a Spider, So What? This is an anime where various different of the characters die and come back as nobles or high powerful beings or people with intense magic. While the main female of the thing, when she died, she was reincarnated as a monster spider, considering one of the lowliest and underwhelming monsters in the whole dungeon. She has to use her mind and her human instincts, what she was firmly human, even though she's a spider. That's why she fits in this poem. And the idea that trying to conquer things using your mind or finding ways to survive despite not being the most powerful being. This anime is very comical in that fact, and the title is I'm a Spider, So What? Makes it fairly interesting. And then the final anime I'm going to or third anime I'm going to talk to you about is none other than that took second place is Cells at Work. This is an anime that's really great for health reasons. The idea of what makes us builds up, what makes us human, and what makes it there, and shows the inner world in a way to teach health and cells and everything else and how our body works. With a clever anime, with the main character as being a red blood cells, technically not human, who always traveling to bring various oxygen and nutrients to various different parts of the body and various different functions of the body. This also has another character called White Blood Cell, whose job is to defeat the germs and infections, and the platelets who cover up cuts and so forth of the human body. It's a good way to teach you what human anatomy, the human body, and the human condition more than anything. I would highly recommend this anime for like a health class, or if you really want to know about how the body works in a fun anime way and a way to explain their red blood cell is always lost because she's sickle cell, and she's always trying to go there and fight various different germs and infections of the body, which makes me wonder which bodies this is always getting cancer, what's always getting sick, and so forth, and all these deadly viruses, which white blood cell and everything else. Very fun anime, very comical anime. I sincerely hope you go there and watch it. And now, I'm serious this time. The final anime we're going to talk to you about is in the pull is for non-human characters is Romaru Tempest, who starts off as a human in the modern world, where he goes meets his best friend who wants to show him the girl that he's dating. He even said, "Oh, this girl looks cute" and everything else. And finally, a maniac comes there and stabs him. He bleeds out and dies. And as he's dying, he was saying all this stuff. And this voice kept on saying, "Okay, you're gonna triangulate and create this thing. Like you don't want to be stab proof. You don't want to do this. You want to do that." So he's reincarnated as a slime. At first, not being able to talk, and then he generates by absorbing a bunch of plants. And eventually, this dragon who was trapped, and he was given the ability to talk from the dragon. The dragon says, "I've been trapped here for several long, and I want to escape. And can you help me escape? If you help me, I will help you." They quickly became friends. So much so, the dragon asked the slime to absorb him so he could escape. The dragon, he absorbed the dragon and gained all these powers. He beats various monsters such as wolves and goblins and what have you, and they eventually become friends and all part of this big happy menage melting pot of creatures. They created a new empire or kingdom called Tempest. This goes to the idea of friendship and family and humans and these monsters living together, the idea of unity and diversity. This anime is really great at that. Is one of the top one isekai out there, and the idea that the main character is not human, but in fact a slime, which was considered the loneliest creatures, coming out to what they call a demon lord eventually, and become more and more in season 4. I haven't seen season 4 yet, but it keeps building up new characters, fairies, pixies, and everything else in this world, and the idea that we can all live together even though we're all different. Thank you. And now it's Mr. Pat for his non-human characters in manga.
This is the All American Otaku Show, and this is Mr. Pat. Today we're covering non-humans as non-human protagonists. The first one I chose was called Ruri Dragon. She wakes up, the story starts off, she wakes up with, and the normal human but wakes up with horns on her head. And like, okay, yeah, that's intriguing. Later on, she finds out that her father is actually a dragon, and so technically she's half dragon. When she gets to school, she's hesitant going to school, but when she gets to school, they actually are just more curious than scared. So some of her friends still stay as her friends. But like one of the first time experience that she found out she has more dragon abilities is the aspect that she sneezed in one of her classrooms and she sneezed out a huge flame coming out of her mouth. And it hit her piece of paper that she was reading right through it and hit the person in front of her. Yeah, it was, they had to put the fire out and everything. And wow, yeah. The problem was she wasn't used to her dragon breath, so her mouth started bleeding because it acted as normal human. Over time, her throat started changing to dragon, and amongst other things, she started having other abilities that were dragon-oriented. Like one of them was start developing electricity around her, so she had to step outside and she saw lightning bolts in the air. Yes, those kind of things. One of the ones I can, if I remember right, was she started emitting a really cold aura. Good news is it was hot out, so when she did that, it was acting like an AC to everybody. So I really like this one. I give this one 4 out of 5. The next one I started to do that I've read before is Reincarnated as a Sword. It's not about the sword himself too much, and he's a sentient kind of sword. It's more about cat girl Fran. She starts as a slave and everything, and heard this voice coming from sword and pulled it out, and Good news is she inherits a lot of his abilities that from the sword, like a lot of magic things, because the sword killed a lot of high-end monsters, so she inherited a lot of those abilities. Granted, as the story goes, she has a really huge knowledge of her actual skill as a cat person. Ultimately, this is all about her getting over a hurdle as a black cat, because black cats are like the lowest of the low, and anyone treats them as garbage. So her sword she calls master ends up helping her evolution to pursue more than just a simple black cat. I give this one 5 out of 5. I really like the combat and the whole aspect of both working together as a student and master. The next one is called Senton Academy Joins the Pack. It's basically a school full of animals, and because of the humans are lower end population now, we have this one guy called Mazamiya Jin. Sorry, I'm really butchering names here. He's the funniest part is he's an animal hater. He knows a lot about original, probably read a lot about animals and stuff. So he's kind of just doesn't like animals, period. The other girl, the person is a girl. Her name is Hino Hitami, if I can pronounce it right. Again, butchering names. He has a crush on her, but as soon as he looks over there, this little albino wolf starts, saying that she wants to be with him and everything, and he's really reluctant about it. And he says, "Okay, fine." And she's like, "You could be part of my pack," and so she licks him, because wolves apparently like licking their mates. So he got really turned off by that. As the story goes, he gets more animal companions incorporated, so they end up making a club for cooking, and it's kind of really interesting about each of the animal has certain aspects that they really like to eat. I give this one 4 out of 5. I really like this one too. The only downside is I encountered a lot of school stories, but maybe it's to appeal to a certain audience. I could see that too. That's it for my 3 of my non-human manga. This is Mr. Pat, and signing off.
Morning pages, thinking tea, dog-eared panels next to me, late night quests and chapter breaks.